There are two reasons why we struggle to go from doing to being, and in this video I'm going to be sharing with you those two exact reasons and how you can go from doing to being. But first, I need a good cup of tea. It's been one of those days and I just need a tea to relax. Let's get this cup of tea. So if you are new here on my channel and you are into spirituality, you are on your healing journey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because it's my mission to share my message as far as possible and to help people just like you on their spiritual and healing journey. So I'm a British girl. I love a good cup of tea, and especially when I'm bored. I find myself when I'm bored, I go to the kettle, and the perfect example of this is when I go to sit down and play with my son. And then after about 5 minutes, I'm thinking, I could do with a nice cup of tea right now. And it's kind of become this habit, this kind of trigger that when I play with my son and I sit down, I need to go and have a cup of tea. So I have a tea whilst he's playing or whilst I'm interacting with him. And this is because what is going on here is actually I'm feeling bored. So when I begin to feel bored, what I'm doing is actually resisting being still and resisting the present moment. So when we perceive that we are bored or we have nothing to do, what we are in fact doing is resisting the present moment, resisting being still in our minds and in our bodies. So when I think about going to get the cup of tea, it's usually at that point where I'm like, oh, it feels uncomfortable to actually sit and just be. So we do not like to, if you're anything like me, I can guarantee majority of you feel like, well, I'm bored, there's nothing to do, what do I do? Or we have to feel like we are constantly need to keep ourselves busy. So when I am wanting a cup of tea, I am in fact escaping from the present moment. We are escaping the present moment because what can happen if we are so totally still and present? We begin to feel we are not busy. When I feel the boredom, it's like I want to keep myself busy. I need to go and get that cup of tea. I need to go and check my phone. I need to go and quickly clean up whatever it is you need to clean up, do the housework. We are resisting that present moment because we are trying to escape it, because we are trying to escape the feelings and our own thoughts that may come up when we experience stillness. It's never really about being bored in that present moment. It's about resisting the feelings that come up, that may surface. And so often when people are constantly on their phone, you may have heard of this term, that it's a form of escapism, because they're trying to escape their reality. They're trying to escape the present moment because maybe it hurts their like not far in their life that they thought they would be. They feel depressed. They feel whatever kind of wounding or the ego has attached to, they are escaping from, and that's why they get distracted and stuck in their phones. Because nobody likes to feel their wounds. Nobody wants to admit the fact that they feel shitty. Nobody wants to be with their emotions because it fucking hurts. And we feel, I think, if we go on our healing journey, when we begin to feel that we're never going to be able to get out of that, we feel we'll be stuck in that if we experience that. But that's further from the truth. When we allow ourselves to become still in our being, we go from doing to being. We open up and then have the capacity to let those suppressed emotions to surface. And when we begin to feel that energy in motion, because that's what an emotion is, we allow it to flow through us and then escape. It just dissolves. It's the same when you label an emotion and say, I am feeling scared right now. Then that begins to dissolve and have less power over you. So when we stop being busy and doing all the time, we able to hold the space for ourselves to be able to be present and witness every sensation in our bodies, and we become mindful to the sensations in our body. We can become so deeply present. We can finally heal the suppressed emotions that we have been pushing back and not wanting to feel because it fucking hurts. So this means we are always just pushing away anything that means we get still. So we always keep ourselves busy and distracted in life. And this is the first way that why we don't go from doing to being, why it's so hard to be still, to be mindful, because we are holding on to so much pain in our body. We need to do that emotional healing. But the thing is here, when you move from doing to being, that's when you're able to liberate yourself and release those emotions that you feel have been holding on to you. Because the ego will always want you to stay distracted. It will always want you to be attached to your past pain. So it will say, distract yourself with this. Don't be still, because ultimately the ego doesn't want to die. It doesn't want to experience the present moment, because the ego has no hold on you when you are still and present to the moment. So naturally it will come out with all sorts of stories to stop you from just being and experiencing stillness. And I'm just going to have a sip of my drink. Oh, that is quite hot. So I'm going to put it down to let it cool down on my hand as well. So the ego will make up some illusion, some story that will keep you busy. And for me personally, I find this the most when I'm meditating. It's either when I'm actually meditating or when I feel the desire to meditate, because I don't consistently meditate every single day. I find sometimes I feel really called to, if I'm trying to anchor something into earth and I have to bring that frequency down, and I sit in meditation for 30 minutes at a time every day for so long, and then all of a sudden I don't feel called to. I think sometimes it's just the medicine we need in that moment, so we don't always consistently need to meditate. And to be honest, we're not monks in Tibet somewhere, and yeah, we don't need to be disciplined like that, because we are just ordinary humans in this everyday life. Unless you want to be some guru somewhere, yeah, meditate every day. But going back, maybe that's me just trying to justify why you don't meditate every day, but going back to the ego, maybe it's just the ego trying to distract me all the time. But this is the point. When I'm in meditation, the ego will pop its little head in, pop its voice in, and start going, oh, you've got all that washing to do. It will start saying, oh, you've got to get this, this, and this, and this onto your to-do list, because it doesn't want me to become still. And when we become still, it gives our bodies chance to recalibrate. It gives our bodies chance to rest, recuperate. And meditation is a really good form for that, which I'll go more on to at the end with the tips. And Another way the ego usually pops its head in is when it tells me I have this, this, and this to do, and I shouldn't meditate because I could be more productive with my time. And my ego is telling me that's a waste of time to sit and meditate for 30 minutes. You could record a YouTube video, for example, or I could send an email out to my community on my email list. It comes up with these all sorts of wild stories of other things I should be doing to keep myself busy instead of coming back and enjoying the presence, because I do enjoy meditation. I feel so connected when I meditate. I become still, and it allows me to free the thoughts from going on in my mind, even though sometimes it's crazy going on in my mind, particularly if I haven't meditated in a while and I realize, Jesus, that's what's been going on in my head this whole time. So the ego can be that trickster that will try to distract you, and that's when it will make you feel guilty. When you try to relax, try to be calm and still and be present. And this is the second thing that stops you from actually being present and embracing stillness, is society and the guilt you feel. So we live in a world that thrives off of working hard. It celebrates success, getting your goals done, hustle culture. And so when we are in a world that is dominated by this masculine way of being, then we are constantly busy. We burn out. Our bodies cannot do that. Our bodies are not made to work so hard and be stressed out, because that's what it's actually doing to the body when we are working to the bone and constantly distracted. So we think we need to get X, Y, and Z done in order to be successful or meet some expectation. So when we do try to be still, practice mindfulness, or be in meditation, we tend to feel guilty, even if it's just relaxing in the evening and just not doing anything and just being with yourself. And maybe you do some journaling or just do some reading. You feel guilty because you feel you haven't been productive. And then if you're anything like me, sometimes you don't feel whole and complete. You feel like unfulfilled. You feel like you haven't done that thing you've wanted to do. So you feel guilty for like resting, and you're like, oh, I can't rest until I do that task, tick that off my to-do list. So we're in this never-ending loop of guilt and even shame when we haven't been able to do something, because in the world productivity is celebrated. So we are constantly distracting ourselves with busyness all the time, doing, rather than coming back into presence and just being. So you may be thinking, okay, Christina, well, what are the things I can actually do to go from doing to being? So the number one thing we can all do here is limit distractions, get rid of our distractions. So what are the things that distract us? Our devices, our phones, just everyday life does distract us, but we escape to our phones because we see the phone as an extension of ourselves. It almost becomes our identity. It becomes, well, this is who I am, all this phone in here, everything I hold on to. So we are always reaching for the phone, but it's a form of escapism and taking you away from your divine essence and stops you from being that divine essence. And this is not to say all phones and devices are bad. Like, I'm recording now on a phone and I use my phone for my work as well as my laptop, but there's time and place for it. So we got to remove or limit distractions, and that means putting a limit on how much time we spend on our phones, putting a limit on how much time we spend watching the TV, and just be with ourselves, be with our bodies, be with our minds, our thoughts. And this doesn't mean even just sitting in a meditation instead of watching TV or being on your phone, but just like wandering around the house, enjoying the garden, going sitting in the garden and just being rather than escaping and being distracted all the time. So this leads me on to my second recommendation, is that give yourself moments throughout the day to be still, to experience stillness and be more mindful of what is going on around you. Because when we become still, we become so aware of everything that's going on around us, what we can hear, what we can feel, and what we can see. So it's about having these moments throughout the day to just stop what you're doing and just be in that present moment and go out and get some fresh air, go and stand outside for 2 minutes. That's what I do. If I'm finding myself feeling like, oh, I've been on my laptop all day working, editing a video or whatever it might be for my business, I feel like I need to go outside, go and ground myself, and I just bask in the sun and I just be. And it's a remembering to do these little moments throughout the day. It's not about, right, I need to go and sit and meditate for an hour and be zen-like. We can do this as the everyday person, is just to experience moments of stillness throughout the day. And I also like to do this when I have a bath and I just relax and be with myself, be with in my body and experience the stillness that comes with having a bath. Because sometimes I feel like if we have a bath or shower, it's all about just having a wash and washing your hair and jumping out. But we can take those moments to just be with our sensuality as well and be present to the moment when we are relaxing in a bath. So my third and final little thing you can do to help to go from doing to being is actually understanding your beliefs around working hard and understanding why you feel guilty when it comes to resting or being still, because your ego will tell you not to do all of that. So it's understanding, where has that come from? Is it the conditioning from society that tells you you must work hard, you must hustle, keep yourself busy and distracted? Or is it from your childhood? Were you made to feel guilty for like not doing something, so it made you this perfectionist where you had to constantly meet some expectation? So the really good thing here is you can just do a bit of journaling. It doesn't take a lot with journaling. I find with journaling you can really get a lot coming through, a lot coming up that has actually been suppressed for quite a long time. So this is my go-to tool that I always use when I'm reflecting or I'm doing some inner work. So I recommend doing a little bit of journaling and understanding, why don't you feel rested? Why are you resisting that stillness a little bit more? So this was my ultimate guide about stillness. I really hope this has been helpful for you. Don't forget to check out this video next, where I talk all about healing from emotional past pain. So with that being said, I will see you in that video. Much love.